Hi there and welcome to Startup Central. I'm Nayantara working from home. This is the only show of its kind dedicated, of course, to startups, but also technology, innovation, disruption. Basically, if it falls under the gambit of the new economy, it's here every weekday on ET Now at 6 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, like all the stakeholders we get from the startup universe, Team Startup Central loves constructive criticism. We thrive on it. So don't hold back. Keep writing into us. Keep telling us how we can improve the show, do things differently, what you did not like. We also lap up on compliments, so feel free to send those as well. Our email address right on top, suc@etnow.tv. I'm also on Twitter. Reach out to me directly. My Twitter handle is @Nayantara. Now, can you imagine having the big bull Rakesh Jhunjhunwala take a bet on you and your startup? Can you imagine if Akash Prakash, well-known stock picker, also agrees? And can you imagine if even Nikhil Vora of 6 Cents agrees? Yes, my next guest has all three of them as investors. Here's Varun Khanna of Fullife joining us on this edition of Startup Central. Hi Varun, thanks so much for joining us on the show today. You've done yet another fundraise and existing investors have participated. Look at the names that you've got: Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, Akash Prakash, as well as Nikhil Vora. How on earth have you managed this?
First of all, Nayantara, thank you so much for having me here. It's an absolute pleasure to be a part of the show. I've seen your show several times on television, and I did not really imagine I would be here with you. So it's really a good feeling to be here. And thank you for the kind words, and thank you for the congratulations. I know it's like a dream come true for any entrepreneur to be able to have such amazing people sharing and being confident about the idea that we all started with. So I think it's a lot of hard work. I think it's a lot of literally going out and doing things. And of course, God's grace that we've actually been here and we are here today.
So do you want to tell our viewers how much you have raised?
So in the last round, we've actually raised about 60 crores, which is about $8 million put together from existing investors. And of course, Mr. Akash Prakash. We're just so excited to have him on board in the last round. And as I said, the existing investors have always believed in our vision, and it was just the right thing to do. So really amazing guys anyways. So it was just great to have them again.
You know, we were just so excited to know that how you managed to get these three giants, led by the big bull himself, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, to sign checks for you, to take a bet on you. But do you want to now tell us what it is that your startup does, Fullife, what it does, and what's so hot about it that you got these three on board?
Sure. So, I think I definitely agree with you. The big bull, Mr. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, he's actually one of the most gentlest and most amazing people to have on board. I just want to add that to that statement. As a company, so a little bit about us. We are actually a little bit in the backgrounds. You might have heard about our brands, but Fullife is the actual mother company. We are focused on manufacturing and developing, and of course, branding effervescent products. So products something like these, which you might have seen on the shelves. So I'm sure many of you would be using our vitamin C, which pretty much is something you drop in the tap, drop in water and drink. And that's something that we actually focused on. We really stayed very sharp only on one delivery format. And we created products, we developed innovative products in the categories of wellness, in the categories of immunity, in the categories of sports, fitness, women's health. And we actually got into the action of not just marketing it in India, but actually taking these products across the world. It's a relatively niche space. It's a more expertise space, and we were fortunate to be able to do it right at the beginning. And that's what Fullife is. It's the drop of nutrition in your glass of water every time you feel like having a vitamin C or electrolyte or any of the other products.
Okay, so when did you start, and do you make all of this stuff and all your products here in India?
So we actually started about 7 years ago. I mean, I would say our business, as any entrepreneur business, it started off as any entrepreneurial venture, and you sort of find your way to the call that you actually want to follow. And we actually got very focused onto effervescent business only about 5 years ago, or about 6 years ago. I would say 100% of what we sell in India is manufactured in India. In fact, we export a lot from India now to the European markets, and also to starting to the US. And at the same time, we do have export business where we also source from other locations, but they're sold somewhere else. But most of our products are manufactured in India, I would say 90% plus within our own facilities.
Okay. Okay, so you've been around for about 7 years. Tell me something. How did you get the big bull Rakesh Jhunjhunwala to invest? How did you meet him? What did you say to him? You know, like everyone takes his bets really seriously. He's betting on you. He's betting on your startup. So first tell me, how did that meeting happen? How many meetings did it happen for him to be sold?
So it's actually a very interesting question. This happened a few years ago. In fact, he was the first guy to actually bet on us or actually invest on us. He was a part at the angel round. I remember meeting him in a social gathering, which was a corporate social gathering. He was there, and I, through a common contact, I was introduced, and I just shared an idea with him. The common contact, and we had a good relationship. So I just wanted to take his inputs on how do we take this forward. At that time, we were looking at funding. He said, "Why don't you guys just tell me more about the business?" Me and my colleague at that time, my partner, we started together. We just sort of gave him a small understanding and a brief about it, and I think at that time it caught his eye that it was interesting because it was all about innovation. It was all about bringing new things into India in the space of wellness and space of healthcare, which honestly India has been super generic all the time. This was something different, and he's always had big bets in healthcare. You know, his investments across the pharmaceutical space. So it was really, I think it was just a great idea. He found it as a great idea. I think it stuck around with him. I always took help from his team. I actually knew the common person was a part of the team as well, just to run by some ideas with him. And eventually he was like, you know what, don't look at raising funds from somewhere else. We are here. So, and that's how it happened. And it was quite ecstatic. It was quite like, whoa, what just happened?
So,
but it happened.
So does he also take your supplements? Does he pop your supplements and all of that?
Yeah, in fact, every time we launch something new, we've just launched something today. Today's a big day for us. We've launched our plant nutrition category. So I'm just sending them out to him tomorrow. He's been using our vitamin C, as I said, the fasten up charge throughout the entire COVID situation in the past, and I know he's using it. All of our investors are using it. So it's good. I mean, there's proof in the pudding, and they're using it. So that's pretty good.
And how did Akash Prakash happen?
So this was very recent, actually. So I think again, common circles. I think it's always about. I think and something I've learned here is that it's always good to be. I think open about your business to the people who may actually be actually good for you. And again, through common platforms, ended up just sharing some ideas with him. He knew we were looking out for a fundraise. We were looking at raising funds internally. He just suggested if he can, we just looked at the idea if this was something he was interested in, and he said, yeah, why not? I would definitely love to be a part of this. This looks exciting. Of course, Mr. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala is there, Mr. Nikhil Vora is there. So it would just be, an interesting space to get into. And I think that's how it happened. And, he's like a very calm and a very, very calculative guy. So I think it was, again, I think the story of India and the story of nutrition in India, which is growing so fast, I think that is something which is very exciting. And at the same time, what we've tried to build over here is quite innovative, is not your regular prescription-based product, which India is usually known for. I think that also caught his eye, and sort of that's how it happened.
Okay. And I'm sure you can guess my third question, which is that how did Nikhil Vora and Sixth Sense happen?
This is actually a very fun story. I actually know Nikhil as someone I used to. I actually consider him like a very big mentor for me. I think he's just one of the most incredible. So I think all the investors bring such amazing skills, amazing knowledge packs for us. Rakesh ji with his amazing business acumen, and like he's so sharp with his numbers. It's just incredible when you sit with him in a meeting. Mr. Prakash with his amazing, just smart, big, very few words, just very, very sharp, focused, and analysis of business immediately. And with Nikhil, and for me, Nikhil has been like a mentor. I love marketing, I love branding, I love building brands, and I love building great brands which are quality oriented and just very people centric. And I think that's what Nikhil has been really knows how to do so well. And I knew him quite for a few years now, and I remember at the beginning of the businesses going to him and taking some inputs, and he picked up a product like ours and he saw it, he kept it on the side, and he was quite quiet. He didn't say much. And at that time, I was trying to get some ideas from him. How do I scale it up? What do I do to brand it? And how do I take it forward? He gave me some very valuable inputs. And about 3 or 4 months later, we were looking out for raising some funds, and there was the bankers who were helping us arrange the funds. There was an opportunity with Nikhil Vora, and I was like, I would always love to have him on board. It's just gonna be like a Sone Pe Suhaga, like having him on board and having Sixth Sense on board would just be the most amazing thing. I remember this. He was an actual proper pitch for me. I went in and I showed him my business plan. I remember him. He was very skeptical, but it just turned out he was trying to test me about what I actually believe about the business. And when we came out, it was I heard from the colleagues who were helping us with the fundraise that I think Nikhil would be interested in this portfolio, and I just thought in my head, yes, this is the guy who I really, really wanted, and I have him on board. So so that was a proper pitch, and I remember. Sorry.
Okay, so the only proper pitch was really to your mentor, who then was so sold that he decided to take a bet on you and has participated in the latest fundraise. Varun, let me ask you what might be a slightly cheeky question. Has it ever happened that the big bull, Mr. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala and Akash Prakash have offered you different advice? Has that ever happened?
So I'll tell you with Mr. Prakash, I think he's very new in the company. So I don't think so. We've given him enough challenges to yet to discuss about. But I think if I just look at our older investors, Mr. Jhunjhunwala and Mr. Nikhil Vora, I think even if the advice may sound different, at the end of the day, they mean the same thing. So I think it's about how you read between the lines, because every investor has a very different way of looking at business, but business is pretty straightforward at the end of the day. So eventually it is always pushing and nudging us in that direction. And it could be, many different languages and different aspects of the business. So I think eventually I'm fortunate. I've never seen actually a time when there were two different advice, but I think even if it were different languages, they meant exactly the same thing at the end of the day. So I hope I've been able to answer your cheeky question with a cheeky answer.
So how big are you? How big are you? I know you don't have to share numbers with us. You don't really need to do that. But if you were just to give me a sense of like how big your startup is, how big your brands are, what would you say?
I can maybe like quantify in terms of the elements. I think that is good enough to get an idea. So just to give you an idea, in Effervescent, the delivery format, we are the largest manufacturers and the largest brand in the country. We are also our products in the export markets. We have a few markets where we are market leaders with some of our products, including countries like South Africa, countries like Philippines, countries like UAE now, that we've got some market leaders which actually take me the 1, 2, 3 position in the market in those product categories. And our vision is to grow even bigger from here. As I said, we are entering into the US, and we don't see US as a small market. One thing about us is that we are a very millennial organization. We pretty much are, and that's one thing that I just want to add here is all our investors have always appreciated that pretty much the entire team is a young team. Our average age is between 25, actually 28, 29 is our average age now in the organization. We in fact had 21-year-olds hired, and I was like, whoa, 1991, 1996, 1997 people now are having a job here. So what happens is this entire millennial team is extremely excited and also very ambitious. And we are keen to take our brands, we have Fast Enough and Chic Nutrix, 2 brands. We are keen to make them large number ones in multiple categories in India. We are already number 1 in a few categories. If you look at Amazon, we are probably in the top 5. We will always be there. And of course, take them and become number 1 in certain countries that we believe are key focus. So we're looking at a very strong growth trajectory and building it a very strong, robust business and taking our OTC brands to a large scale setup in about 3 to 5 years to take it to about 500, 600 crores as a turnover. So I think that gives you a direction about how we see it.
But okay, so you're literally vocal for local that is going global. Before I come into the United States angle, the overseas ambitions, how strong is your balance sheet? Because I think if there's one thing all startups and founders have had to understand, and understand the hard way since we work, is that EBITDA is not a bad word. They've got to be focused on it, razor sharp focus on it. No ghoom fare ki definition of bottom line and profit. It is what it is. And I think with the people you have on board, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, Nikhil Vora, Akash Prakash, there'll be no nonsense also no nonsense people when it comes to a strong balance sheet and the respect that they have for profitability, right? Vision and profitability. Have I got that right when it comes to your startup? Have they told you to have razor sharp focus on this?
Yes, and I think you're bang on. And I think it's not just, as you rightly said, all 3 are veteran investors. They've seen the best of the stocks or the best of the companies go either ways, just because of the way businesses were managed. And I think at the end of the day, you're so right that it's all about the top line and the bottom line. So for us as an organization, profitability is a very central key focus. That's the reason we tend to be not, too ahead of ourselves all the time, because at the end of the day, it's very easy to burn money. And I think that's something a lot of startups tend to think that, we need to do it really quick. We need to do it now. We need to do it tomorrow. I think nothing needs to be done tomorrow. And that's something because tomorrow is very expensive. And I think for any organization which wants to sort of build up, it takes time. And I think at the end of the day, especially in a world like today, where, a lot of business models are actually trying to do a pivot and go into directions which are talking about profitability. And a lot of these business models were actually loss-making business models or quite burn-heavy business models are now pivoting to say, we have to find a way to actually get a buck into the account. I think that is something that, because of the guys we have on our board, we've always been very sensitive about. And that's something that we continue to work on and continue to maintain. So profitability is a key area for us. And also another part I would like to add to this is we also have sustainability. So when you're talking about vocal for local, we not only have vocal for local, we also have vocal for sustainability. So basically trying to be as environmentally conscious, as environmentally responsible, as community responsible as possible. So
I think every company though has to be today.
Exactly, and that's something I think
every company has to be today has to do that today, especially if you're a millennial company trying to reach out to millennials. But Varun, we're running out of time. So for my viewers who are tuning in, this is something they'll want to hear. And you've had direct contact. I don't know whether you have your investors on speed dial or whether they have you on speed dial. But having said that, tell me one thing. What did the big bull Rakesh Jhunjhunwala tell you as his advice to ride through the lockdown and the post-COVID world? Because, that would be something really great to hear.
I think that's a very, very good question. So, as you would imagine, as soon as the lockdowns were announced, there were immediately calls going out between all of us, actually. And I think some of the key advice that they gave us was the world is going to change as we know it. And there is going to be a shift in the way of working, the shift in way of living, a shift in way of consuming. And it's a wait and watch world. And at the end of the day, in our case, we actually had products which help people in enhancing immunity. So they were actually able to. Our objective was majorly to address the availability of the products. So the advice that all of them actually gave us unison was, our objective this time would be to ensure that you save the cash, so that you do not go out and burn money. Because when the lockdowns were on, there were also opportunities for marketing because everything was pretty cheap. So you need to be very, very cautious and conservative and actually go back and save cash and actually start thinking about way the world is going to evolve in the next few months and next few years, and try to address the business, try to put the business in the same direction. And that's what we sort of followed their advice, and we did. And one of the things they also, and having such great guys who are so the good thing with having people like them is they're very also people conscious, they're very friendly towards the people. So we were able to do all of this and actually continue working on the product from home without actually any layoffs. So that was something which was also a part of even their thought process and our thought process, that let's save money by stopping useless spending, but let's ensure that the business continues.
Basically, be compassionate with the people who've been loyal to you and have been efficient. That's so important when you're increasing the cash runway, because I think a lot of people make that mistake, get rid of good talent simply because they're trying to stop the cash burn or trying to, protect the bottom line, the top line. With that, Varun, we're completely out of time. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I'd like to thank you for taking the time out to join us here on this edition of Startup Central. Here's wishing you all the very best and look forward to more interviews.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a great day ahead. Stay safe.